Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. As people trickle into the meeting, I will just play a short video and then we'll get started.
Tomorrow. Tomorrow is not just an idea or a dream.
It's the promise of a new day and a better world. Tomorrow belongs to the changemakers and the risk takers, the passionate, the daring, and the bold.
This is our tomorrow. All of us, together.
This is where and how we live, shaped by our community, our neighbors, our friends, and our rivals.
Shaped by those who challenge us to think bigger, move faster, and achieve more. By those who came before us and fashioned this university from sheer determination.
We're pioneers at heart, innovators by necessity, and community builders because, well, we're from Calgary, where that legendary can-do spirit has blossomed into a will-do commitment.
And like Calgary, this university attracts people from around the world with ambitious dreams and the courage to fulfill them.
We educate students to become community builders. We conduct research that changes the world. And we enhance the intellectual, social, and cultural landscape of our region.
It's true. Our campuses draw disruptors, instigators, and challengers of convention. Those who seek and share answers to society's greatest challenges. Because tomorrow demands global attention to challenges we can only begin to imagine.
Tomorrow our students are preparing for now, and our researchers are striving to understand.
A tomorrow we're ready to face, fueled by the energy and passion of our students, postdoctoral scholars, faculty, staff, alumni, donors, and cherished friends.
By discovering and creating new ideas that have a meaningful impact on the world around us, we can improve our world and deliver the promise of a new tomorrow together.
All right, so we'll get started now. Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. My name is Camille, and I am a student recruitment advisor with the undergraduate recruitment team at the University of Calgary. This evening, I'm joined by my amazing friend and colleague, Mackenzie Beerbaum, who will be in the chat. So if you guys have any questions throughout the presentations, please feel free to send them in the chat. We will also have a Q&A at the end, so you can also save it for the end. I will just preface that we are expecting a large group tonight, so I apologize in advance if we aren't able to get to your question. We will try our best, but you can also send your questions to calgary.recruiter@ucalgary.ca, and a member of our team will be happy to help you. So welcome to tonight's webinar. This is intended for students who have been accepted to the University of Calgary and are now wondering what the next steps are and what are the things that they can expect moving forward. Mackenzie and I are both University of Calgary alumni, so we understand that this is a very exciting time, and we look forward to welcoming you to the University of Calgary. We hope to see you in the fall. With that said, we will get started here. I would like to respectfully begin with a territorial acknowledgement in recognition that the lands where the University of Calgary sits are the traditional territories of the people of the Treaty 7 region here in southern Alberta, which includes the Blackfoot Confederacy, comprising the Siksika, Piikani, and Kainai First Nations, as well as the Tsuut'ina First Nation and the Stoney Nakoda, which includes the Chiniki, Bearspaw, and Wesley First Nations. The city of Calgary is also home to Métis Nation of Alberta, Region 3. To learn more about the University of Calgary's Indigenous engagement strategy, as well as the history of the lands that we are privileged to call home, please visit ucalgary.ca/indigenous. If you would like to sign up for our prospective student mailing list, please do scan this QR code. We can send you more information about the University of Calgary, and as well as any important reminders for upcoming deadlines. So if you haven't already, please consider scanning this QR code. I will leave it up here for a few seconds. If you are interested in a digital copy of our view books, you can also scan these QR codes. Please feel free to scan them. I'll also leave them up for a few seconds. This will have more information about the university, a little bit about the student life, the different programs that we offer, admission requirements, awards. These are a great resource for students. So please do scan them if you would like a digital copy. All right, now most of us are probably familiar with the city of Calgary, but some of us might not be as familiar. So I would just like to start off with some quick information about the city of Calgary. Growing up here in Calgary, I know for myself, I've grown to appreciate it more within these last few years for sure. But we are incredibly lucky to be living in this beautiful city. One of my favorite things about Calgary is that it offers opportunities, exciting opportunities, professionally and personally. So if I wanted to connect with an organization, with a local, national, or even a global outreach, I can connect with them right here in Calgary. But at the same time, if I want to go on an adventure and explore some amazing scenery, we are extremely lucky to be close to the Rocky Mountains and some world-class scenery just around us. So that's one of the things that I really love about the city of Calgary. It's the #1 most livable city here in North America. I think it's also the top 5 in the world. So I think those are really cool things to consider, especially when you're deciding where you are going to root yourself for the next few years. Now, an introduction to the University of Calgary. So the University of Calgary was actually founded in 1966. So we're a relatively young university, but within that short span of time, we have grown significantly and in many different exciting ways. We are a leading university here in Canada. So it says top 6 research university, but today it was actually announced for the first time that we have reached 5th. So we are actually, as of 2021, the 5th top research university in Canada. And we are the youngest university to have attained such a standing. So it's a very exciting time for the university. We have over 28,000 undergraduate students with over 150 different countries represented on campus. We are also known as Canada's entrepreneurial university. And what this really means is that we encourage our students to engage in entrepreneurial thinking. So thinking outside the box, being creative, being inventive. So since 2017, there have been over 390 inventions and innovations born out of the University of Calgary. And I think that's a testament to the entrepreneurial spirit that is embraced by our students across different faculties. So not just in our business programs, but across all of the programs that we offer at the university. Here we have an aerial view of our main campus. So the University of Calgary actually has 5 campuses. So the one you see here is our main campus located in the northwest quadrant of the city. You can also see a little bit of our Foothills campus there, which houses our Faculty of Medicine. We also have a Spy Hood campus, which houses our Faculty of Veterinary Medicine. We have a downtown campus as well as a campus in Doha, Qatar. But for the most part, for undergraduate programs, most of your classes will be here in our main campus. We have a large campus. It's over 500 acres of park-like space, but don't worry, to get from one end of campus to another, depending on how fast you walk, you can actually get there in about 10 to 15 minutes. We are also well connected to the rest of the city of Calgary through our university train station as well as a bus loop. As a full-time student at the university, you will have access to a U-Pass. So the U-Pass will enable you to get on a Calgary Transit train or bus for free across the city. Now let's talk a little bit about the next steps. So if you've received an offer of admission, you will receive an official package in the mail outlining the next steps, but you can also check out our webpage. The link is there in the slide to learn more about these next steps. If you received an offer to your first choice, great. If you received an offer to your second choice and you are still waiting to be evaluated for your first choice, you can accept your second choice, and if you are eventually accepted to your first choice, we can transfer your deposit from your second choice to your first choice, and we will continue to consider you for your first choice even if you accept your second choice. You can accept your offer by logging into your UCalgary Student Center, so your myucalgary.ca. There is a $500 non-refundable tuition deposit for most students. This will be due on May 1st. This amount goes straight towards your tuition. We also have an exciting event called You at UCalgary. This is an event for students who have been accepted to the university. It's an opportunity to learn more about their faculties, connect with faculty members, as well as their peers who've also been accepted to the university. This year it will be on April 9th, and I will have more registration information later on in the presentation. And course registration I will also talk about later on, but that will begin in May of this year. I want to spend a little bit of time clarifying some things about a conditional offer of admission. So for most of you, this is likely what you have received. A conditional offer of admission outlines conditions that you have to satisfy in order for us to finalize your admission to the university. So applicants who have received a conditional offer of admission, they have to maintain their average, they have to complete all of the required courses for the program that they've applied to and received an offer to. They have to submit any outstanding documents as outlined in their to-do list, which is in your student center, and they also have to graduate from high school. Now, we do get a lot of questions about maintaining your academic average. A lot of students are wondering exactly what average they have to maintain. So this exact average that you have to maintain for your offer to be finalized will be available in your student center in May. This will tell you exactly what average you have to meet in order for you to maintain your offer. Now, this average won't necessarily be the average that you applied with. So I know some students are worried maybe this semester, maybe they were admitted using their grades from last semester and they're worried that they aren't able to maintain that same average for this semester. It doesn't necessarily mean that you have to keep that same average that you applied with. You have to satisfy that academic average for that program that you applied to, which will be available in your student center in May. If you do have any questions about this, please feel free to let us know. Now, about course registration. So starting in March or April, that is when our course list will be released, meaning you'll be able to see the different classes that we will offer for the upcoming semesters. You can basically shop for classes, so think of it like online shopping. You can select your courses, select your classes, and add them to a shopping cart. And then in May, you are able to enroll or check out your cart. The exact enrollment appointment date will be posted on your student center. So each individual student might have a different enrollment date, and you can find this date in your student center. Starting in June and July, you'll want to consider applying for student loans or complete any RESP paperwork. You actually have to be registered at the university and enrolled in classes in order to access student loans, as well as your RESP. So starting in June to July, when your offers will start to be finalized, that's when you want to start to apply for these different financial aid, whether it's student loans or RESPs. And in August, you'll want to look into your tuition and general fees. For all of our full-time undergraduate students, you will have coverage for health and dental, but if you have prior coverage somewhere else, you can opt out of this, and you will want to opt out in August, where we will also have set deadlines for you to opt out. Now, a little bit about living on campus. This is an option that is available for students regardless of whether they're from Calgary or somewhere else. But if you apply by May 1st, you are guaranteed space in residence. You can still apply after May 1st, but we just can't guarantee that we will still have a room for you. We do have double and single occupancy rooms available. For double rooms, if you have a friend that you want to stay with, we can help you arrange that. But if you don't have a roommate yet, we do have a matching service where we can match you with another person, and you will fill out a little bit of a questionnaire, and then based on your answers from that questionnaire, we will match you with someone that we think you'll get along well with, which is a really cool service that we offer. If you are a first-year student living on residence, a meal plan will be required. However, if you aren't living on residence, but you would still like that convenience of not having to prepare your own food, you can also opt for a swipe plan. And basically, this will allow you to access the dining center, which is conveniently located near our residence buildings, and it's a buffet-style sort of setting. And we have different halal, vegetarian, and gluten-free options available. I can attest for myself, the food there is great. And there's a lot of different variety for sure to keep things interesting. And yeah, that's a little bit about living on campus. If you do have any questions about this, again, please feel free to let us know. But I would say this is one of the easiest way to make friends in first year, and it's also really convenient to just be able to go between your classes and your room, especially if you have a full packed schedule. We will have our new student orientation later this year. So usually in about late August, early September, we will have a new student orientation where you can meet others from your faculties. You can also meet your professors. I think they used to have some sessions where you can experience what it's like to have a university lecture. We also offer campus tours during that day, so it's a really fun event. Please, I think we will send some more information about this later on in the year, but it's a really exciting event, so please do consider attending. It's, I would say a lot of people that I know met their best friends on this first day of student orientation. So yeah, make sure that you attend and check it out. Now we'll go over a little bit about what you can expect after you've been accepted to the university and you begin your studies as a first year. So I would really encourage you to get involved as much as you can and to really enhance your student experience beyond your academics. Because ultimately, we want you to be well-rounded individuals and excel in your academics, but as well as in other facets of your life. So there's a lot of ways that you can get involved on campus. For example, we have Clubs Week, where you can meet all of the 300 different student clubs that we have on campus. So some of our clubs are going to be more interest-based, some are going to be program-based, and some of those will also be based on like a particular social cause, for example. And it is a great way to meet people who are interested in the same things as you or interested in pursuing the same career as you. It's a great way to build your network. So I'd highly encourage you to look into that. There's also other ways to get involved, like maybe participating in our Emerging Leaders program if you're interested in building on your leadership skills, or if you're looking for support with transitioning from high school to university. They offer some really great programs through the Leadership and Student Engagement Office, or you can attend a Dinos game, and it's a great way to cheer on the Dinos and get some school pride. We also are really lucky at the University of Calgary to have access to some world-class facilities right on campus. So we have the Aquatic Center, which houses an Olympic-sized swimming pool. We have a fitness center. We have a gymnastics center. We have the Olympic Oval, which hosted the 1988 Winter Olympics. And to this day, a lot of Team Canada athletes and other athletes from different countries around the world continue to train and compete here. We also have the Racket Center and the Outdoor Center. Both are actually the largest of its kind in North America. As students at the University of Calgary, using your UC ID, your University of Calgary ID, you will have access to all of these amazing facilities. There will also be opportunities to participate in intramural sports teams if you want to take a fitness class or if you want to join a sports club. So again, these are also great ways to meet other people, other students at the university, and to blow off some steam between classes. Now, this is probably one of my favorite slides to talk about in the presentation. You can also consider participating in a study, work, or volunteer abroad program through our study abroad office. When I was a student, I participated in 2 exchange programs, so one in Singapore and one in Italy recently, just before the pandemic. These were really exciting opportunities to meet people from different parts of the world at the same time, to build on your intercultural capacities at the same time, also contributing towards your fulfilling your degree requirements for the University of Calgary. So I would highly encourage you all to consider participating in a study abroad, a work abroad, or a volunteer abroad program. We also have internships abroad. Those are organized by our different faculties, but definitely something to look into if you want to go on an adventure. You can also consider participating in one of our work integrated learning opportunities. So at the University of Calgary, we like to encourage our students to have hands-on work experience before they even graduate from the university. So there's a lot of different ways that you can gain this work experience. So you can join a cooperative education program, you can join an internship program. For some of our faculties like nursing, education, and kinesiology, there is a practicum requirement. There's also opportunities to join our field schools. Again, this is a great way to get involved on campus, to meet new people, and to get a leg up eventually after you graduate. You can put in your resume that you do have some prior work experience. So this is something that I would look into as a student. There's hundreds of paid positions available, and some of our recent placements have included Garmin, Suncor, Amazon, the UN Association of Canada. So there's a lot of exciting opportunities here for students. We also have a variety of different student supports available right on campus. So we like to describe our campus as a city within a city, because you don't really have to leave campus to access these different resources. We do have a lot, but they're not all listed here, so I will just go over a few of them. We have career services if you're looking for support with your resume, if you would like to attend an interview workshop, or if you'd like to get career advising. This is a great place to know about. We also have our student wellness services, which is a one-stop shop for counseling, any medical services. If you're looking for different opportunities to learn more about mindfulness, strategies to cope with stress, that's a great place to visit. We also have the Student Success Center. So if you're looking for writing support, if you're looking for academic advising, or if you're looking to attend a peer-led study session, this is a great office to visit. Now, we understand that your university education is a significant investment, so I do want to spend some time talking about awards. Annually, the University of Calgary offers over $17 million in scholarships, bursaries, and other awards. The deadline for the Prestige Awards is actually already passed. The deadline for that was December 1st, but we still have other awards that you can consider applying for. So our automatic awards, you actually don't have to apply for that. All you need to do is apply for admission to the University of Calgary, and based on your admission average, we may be able to offer you an automatic award with a value ranging from $2,000 to $5,000. We also have our high school entrance awards, which you do have to submit an application for, in addition to your University of Calgary application. You can access the application in your student center, so your myucalgary.ca portal. And it's just a quick 15-minute questionnaire type of application. And the deadline to submit this is March 1st, which is the same day that our application is due. The value for this award can range from $500 to $10,000, and by completing this one single application, you can be assessed for over 200 different high school entrance awards available. So if you haven't already, make sure that you log into your student center and submit an application for the high school entrance awards. So here, just as an example, these are some of the high school entrance awards that you can be considered for. Each award is going to have their own eligibility criteria. But again, all you need to submit is that one high school entrance award application, and then we can consider you for all of these different high school entrance awards. There are also thousands of external awards available from different groups across the world. A great way to start to learn about these external awards is visiting our website, ucalgary.ca/awards. And this is a great starting point to learn more about the different awards that are available out there. As I mentioned earlier, government student loans are also an option. If you are a Canadian citizen or a permanent resident, you will have to be registered in courses before you can apply for a government student loan. So make sure that you are registered and enrolled in your courses before you apply for a government student loan. If you do have a question about this, or if you'd like to learn more, you can scan that QR code or visit our website, and we would be happy to help you with that. Now, here are just some important dates. As I mentioned, March 1st is our application deadline. So I guess for most of the students here, they would have already received an offer of admission. But if you haven't, please make sure that you submit it by March 1st. March 15th is the deadline for any unofficial transcripts and supporting documents. If you studied in Alberta, we will retrieve your high school transcripts electronically from Alberta Education, so you don't have to worry about that. May 1st is the deadline for students to accept their offer. And June 30th is the deadline for completion of all high school courses that are required for admission. And in August, we will retrieve your final official transcripts, again, if you studied in Alberta. And September 6th is the start of classes, and we will hope to see you on campus. If you would like to see our upcoming events, or if you'd like to sign up for a campus tour, you can scan that QR code or visit our website. This is also where you can get more information about signing up for U at UCalgary, which is that event that I mentioned earlier on in the presentation, which this year will take place on April 9th. This is a great way to connect with your faculty as well as your peers who have also been accepted to the university. I'll leave that up for a few more seconds here. I do think every individual is going to have their own reason for choosing their university, but here's a few different reasons that you might want to consider. Again, congratulations on receiving an offer to the University of Calgary. We hope to welcome you to our University of Calgary community, and we look forward to hopefully meeting you in the fall. Please consider following us on our different social media platforms if you would like more information about the university and you want to stay updated with all of the different events that we have. So we are on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and we also have the Choose UCalgary podcast. And if you haven't already, I would encourage you to listen to our Choose UCalgary podcast. We interview members of faculty, current students, and other members of the University of Calgary community. Sometimes it's really helpful to be able to hear from other people about their experiences at the university. So I'd highly encourage you to give that a listen. And now we have time for questions. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. Again, if you do have any questions, please feel free to let us know. If you would prefer to send an email, please send an email to calgary.recruiter@ucalgary.ca, and a member of our team will be happy to assist you with our questions. But now I will turn to the chat. If you don't have any questions, you are free to go, but if you do have questions, feel free to send them in the chat. Okay, I think Mackenzie has answered quite a bit of them. So we have a question: how easy is it to take classes in your first choice program if you are in your second choice program? I would say it depends what faculty you are in. For example, some faculties, like the Faculty of Arts, they do have more flexibility in terms of taking classes that are outside of your own major. So I think that definitely depends on what program you're in and what faculty you're in. But overall, I would just like to share that, for example, even if you're a Faculty of Arts student, we do require you to take at least 2 science options, and same thing for science students. You are required to take at least 2 classes in the arts, just as a breadth requirement, but that's something to keep in mind. Can we start shopping for classes even if we haven't accepted the offer for our second choice? So you would need to have accepted the offer that you have been given before you can enroll in any classes. Are there any good opportunities for undergrads to participate in conducting research? If so, how would we get started with it? Yeah, absolutely. So we actually encourage our undergraduate students to get involved in research. I will send a link here in the chat where you can learn more about undergraduate research opportunities. Just give me a second here.
One question that I'm getting is, when do we start choosing our courses, and how do I know which courses to choose? I'm going to put a link in the chat to all of our degree guides, and you're going to be able to look up your program to see what courses are suggested for your first year in your fall and winter semester. Most students are going to get the opportunity to start putting courses into their shopping cart on their My UCalgary account if they've already been offered admission. Starting in May, you're going to have something called an enrollment appointment, which allows you on your behalf to actually register in those courses, and then you'll be registered. So the link that I'm sending in the Q&A only right now is those degree guides.
Awesome. If I got into my second choice, what do I need to do to switch to my first? If you start your studies in your second choice, you will need to submit a change of program if you want to switch to what you applied to as your first choice. And this is facilitated by the faculties. So once you begin your studies, you'll want to connect with your faculty and determine what the requirements are for you to change your program. But that is something that's facilitated by our faculties. It's called a change of program application.
One question that I'm seeing is, how am I sure what courses the university uses to calculate my admission average? And they're referring to multiple approved courses. I would email our email so that we can look up your UCID number and your application so that we can tell you what was used. If you have more than one approved option or course, we will choose the one with the highest grade in your admission average calculation. One that I'm seeing is, do you know what the expected intake number of students for Biomedical Sciences? We don't know that. That's something that's held by the faculties and within admissions and not really released to the public.
I see. Where can I find the student center? So your student center is your My UCalgary portal. So you can log into that through your my.ucalgary.ca website. So you'll want to go to my.ucalgary.ca and then enter your login credentials, and that's where you can access your student center.
One that I'm seeing is, if we're in person, will we just submit proof of vaccination through our student center? So it won't come through your student center. It's a different portal, but that'll be sent out to students to be able to upload in that app and make sure it's all on file. I also see one about connecting with academic advisors before shopping for your courses. I'm going to send a link right now to all of our faculty advisors, but I encourage you to go into those degree guides, take a look at those courses, and do some due diligence before meeting with the advisors, but they're always there to support you if you have any questions as well.
Do engineering or science faculties automatically decide your first year courses, or do I have to register for everything individually myself? So we do have a first year degree guide for each of our programs, and that will offer you a guideline for what classes you should register for. I will send a link to that in the chat as well.
So I'm seeing one from Candy asking about if we need to upload updated transcripts to Apply Alberta if we attended high school in Alberta. That will happen automatically, so you don't need to do that if you applied through Apply Alberta. There's also one asking about how close to our estimated percentage do we have to achieve. The goal is to be above or right at that admission average that's going to be released in April. Some years there are buffer percentages given to students if you fall a little bit below that, but that's not determined until later in the year. So the goal would just be do as best you can. You guys can do it. You obviously did well enough to get admitted, so just keep that going, and you're gonna maintain your offer.
How am I sure what courses the university used to calculate my admission average? I have many approved courses. Would they use the highest 5 apart from the required courses? When we calculate the admission average, we look at the required courses for admission. Now, if you have multiple courses that can satisfy an approved course or an approved option, our admissions team will always take the highest grade available that can meet that requirement, but it will be based on the required courses for admission.
Asked, is the program Ancient and Medieval History part of the History or the Classics department? They are a part of the Faculty of Arts, and I believe they're a part of the History division of that. And then also, I have paid the first $500 deposit. If you are taking a dual degree program, do you have to pay both? If you applied to 2 programs at the same time, maybe it was engineering and business, or maybe it was education and kinesiology, those were attached when you applied, you only have to pay that deposit once. If you have questions about that, I would send your UCID to the calgary.recruiter@ucalgary.ca email so we can look more specifically at that. There's also one here asking about ASHA, which is the Arts and Science Honors Academy. Can we tell you a little bit more about how the courses will fit into someone's schedule? So it doesn't make your program any longer. If your program's supposed to be 4 years, it can still be completed in 4 years. There's just still some of those extra courses, and it depends when they're offered. We can't really talk too much about it. If you're in ASHA, they'll let you know when the courses are, and you can make the choice whether that fits with your schedule, and also chat with them about if there's alternatives if it doesn't fit with your schedule. There's one that I'm seeing asking that the student got accepted to their first choice. Can they change their second choice? Oh, can they change that to their second choice and then apply for a different program as your first choice, but still keep your offer? Sorry, I'm going to cough. The offer would be rescinded, unfortunately.
So I think to just expand on that, if you do make a change to your application and you resubmit, we would have to reevaluate your application as the offer that you received is attached to that specific program. And that's why there is that risk that you could lose the offer. Let's see here.
There's also one here about the health and dental plan. Will opting out be offered through your student center? It will be. And then there's one that they were accepted through their first choice, but they're still interested in their second choice. We won't continue to evaluate you for your second choice. Because you were admitted to your first choice, that's all we'll evaluate for. If you're more interested in your second choice, you're going to have to change your application. And in that case, when you do that, your first choice offer that's currently there will be rescinded so that we can reevaluate for whatever you change your new first choice to be.
There was a question about diploma exams, and we typically follow what the directive is from Alberta Education, and I know right now there are diploma exams but they are worth 10%. We will look at your final grade as reflected in your Alberta Education transcripts. So this is usually a blend of your class mark as well as the 10% from your diploma exam mark. So we will look at your final grade as reflected in your transcripts. In the past, when there were no diploma exams being offered, then we just took the class mark for students, but I know this time around they are still being offered. And we will look at the final grade as reflected on your transcripts. If there are diplomas, then that will be factored in. If not, then it will be based on your class mark.
So this is a question from Daniel. He's asking about IB certificates that he achieved when he graduated high school last year. So if you're looking to get credit for those classes because you achieved a grade of 5 or higher in a higher level course, you will need to submit those from us from the IB organization itself. So you'll have to request that be sent to us. There's also one here asking about the date of orientation. Will it be visible on the Future Students Events link or emailed to us? I believe it'll be emailed to you. I'm not sure if it's going to be on the Future Students Events link, just because at that point you would be a current student, but watch out for your email. And then I will also send the orientation page, and it will also be visible there.
There was a question about who to talk to find out what UCalgary courses are transferable to the U of A if they're interested in pursuing pharmacy. In that case, you would want to speak with the U of A since they are the receiving institution. But I think a lot of the University of Calgary courses will transfer to the University of Alberta, but again, it would be best to contact them directly in that case. But for other institutions, sometimes the Transfer Alberta website is also helpful, but that's definitely something that you will want to connect with the University of Alberta about.
So there's one here asking if they can opt out of a course if you've already accepted your offer. That depends if your offer is conditional. If it is conditional, you have to complete the admission requirements for that program. If the course isn't required for admission or for you to graduate high school, you can opt out of that course. There's also a question about parking at the university. If you can do daily parking at most of the lots on campus. They range between $9 to $11 a day. You can also look into getting a parking permit for one of the available lots, and those you do by semester. They are pretty popular, so when it gets to being the day that they're available for the next semester and you're looking for that, you're going to want to be right on top of it. There's also one here asking if they accepted their offer and paid the deposit, can you still switch universities? So if you're looking at other universities right now and you already paid the deposit, you find out next week, wow, you got into UBC. If you choose to go to UBC instead, that's a non-refundable deposit for that reason, and you won't get that $500 back, but you could still go to UBC. If you start school next year and you're like, I think I want to switch schools, you have that opportunity to look into transferring to another school, but depending on the situation, depends on what that looks like for you.
Fun fact, we do have a 96% undergraduate retention rate, which means 96% of the students that start off at the University of Calgary stay at the University of Calgary. But just a fun fact.
There's another one that I'm seeing. It's asking about the President's Entrance Scholarship. So if your admission average right now wasn't at 95 and you didn't get that scholarship, but you managed to bump it up in the last semester of school, you can still get that entrance scholarship, but also vice versa. If you had it right now because you had an average of 95, but it falls below that in your final grades, then you could also lose that scholarship.
Does PE 30 count for admission average as a 30 level course? Yes, Physical Education 30 is an approved course.
There's another question about the Arts and Science Honors Academy. Camille and I don't have too much to say on that because it's a whole different department that chooses that, but I'm going to put the link in the chat. Look into it, connect with them if you have questions. And then there's another question. I don't think this is the same one, asking about diplomas. So Camille had talked about it. If Alberta Ed chooses to make them not required, whether that be for COVID or another reason, we won't require them for entry. But if they are required as part of your final mark, we do require them, and we're able to see that on your transcript, whether we're getting your final mark, your school mark, or your exam mark, and the combination of the two. So if it's required, you need to take it. If it's not required by Alberta Ed, you don't need to take it, especially if they're not offering it, because then how would you take it, right?
Is it hard to switch to a different program within business majors? Mackenzie, I think you would be able to speak to that.
So it depends on what you're changing to. All of the programs have different requirements for when you're applying to different business concentrations. For example, when I did it, I was in the general business program and I decided I wanted to change into organizational behavior and human resources. I think the requirement was that I took the intro to organizational behavior and human resources and had like still a competitive admission average, and it was really simple. But there's other programs like accounting that requires you to take a few more courses. So it all depends, but the advisors out of the Haskayne School of Business are really amazing and they'll help you get into the different concentrations. I also want to add that lots of times people can change their concentrations a lot of times. I have an older brother who also went through Haskayne, and I think he changed his business concentration like 3 times. So you can change it relatively easily, I guess, based on that example.
So many questions here. I didn't realize there was also another section.
Yeah, I'm scrolling through the Q&A. I don't know if there's more in the chat that you haven't gone to. But one that I'm seeing is about course selection again. You should be able to start putting courses in your shopping cart in your My UCalgary account as soon as now for some students. In late April, you're going to get something called an enrollment appointment for May, and it's going to have a specific day and time that you can actually register for those courses. And then you'll be able to get that schedule set up for the fall. To figure out what courses you should be looking at, if you Google UCalgary first year degree guide, it's going to come up and you're going to get examples for all of the programs of what courses you should be looking at.
I'm just pulling up some more resources here for a couple of questions that are
So one that I'm seeing is, are double degrees more costly than a typical degree? Your tuition for a year is going to be dependent on the program that you're in, what faculty you're a part of. So that could change the cost. If you're doing a business and engineering combined degree, that can be more pricey because the faculties themselves have some extra fees. But if they're in the same, if they're both arts programs, for example, the year isn't going to cost any more than if you were just in one program. But it could be more costly over the whole 5 years because it's a 5-year degree versus a 4-year degree, which obviously would cost a little bit more.
And you would get 2 degrees, right? So you would have 2 parchments when you graduate.
Yeah, exactly. And then there's another one here asking if it's possible to complete a typical 4-year program in less than 4 years. It is possible. Typically, students take 5 courses a semester over 8 semesters. If you decided to take 5 every single one of those semesters and 2 courses in the spring and summer, that can cut down a full year and finish it in 3 years if you want to. But that might be a little stressful, and it also depends on when the courses are available for you to take and if you can get into them if they're not full.
This webinar will be recorded and uploaded on our YouTube channel, Choose UCalgary. So if you want to review this again at a later time, it will be available on our YouTube channel. When our grades are looked over again at the end of the school year, do they include an option in our reevaluation? We would be using the required courses for admission. So if you do have your 30 level grades in by then, when we review you, that's what we will use. We always use the highest level achieved. So in that case, that would be the 30 level. And if you have an approved option, then we can use the approved option as well.
I'm seeing one that asks, can you apply to the medical school after a minimum of only 2 years of any science-related undergraduate program at U of C instead of 4 years? You can. The only minimum is that you've completed 2 years of full-time study in an undergraduate program at a PhD MD granting school. So U of C would count for that. Doesn't matter if it's in a science field or not. There's different admission requirements for med school as well, including MCAT and being a resident of Alberta, but it is possible only after 2 years. It is a competitive process though, and you might consider still doing the 4 years if you didn't get in. There's also a question, if you get into another university and decide to go there instead of U of C, can I decline U of C after accepting? You can. You will want to email apchange@ucalgary.ca, which I'll put in the chat, to let them know that you're no longer going to be attending U of C. You're going to want to unenroll in all of your classes, and this just makes sure that you don't end up being charged fees if we still think you're enrolled, because otherwise we won't know if you're going to another school.
Can I have 2 separate applications? So for any given cycle, for example, the fall 2022 intake, you can only submit 1 undergraduate application.
There's one asking if they can opt out of courses if they've received an offer that's not conditional. So if you received an offer that has no conditions, it's a standard offer, you can opt out of courses. And then there's also asking about early acceptance and if there's any additional application info that needs to be sent to U of C. If you have to-do list items in your My UCalgary account, those are the things that we still require. And then there'll also be the conditions in your offer itself, which you can also find in My UCalgary in the status button next to your application.
When can we start choosing courses? You can start viewing the courses that will be available in the upcoming semesters around March and April. That's also when you can add them to your cart. But you can't enroll in those courses until the enrollment date that is specified in your student center. So each person is going to have a unique date. So you will want to make sure that you check your student center at a later time to see what that enrollment appointment date is for you.
There's a question here again about the President's Admission Scholarship. If they were admitted for early admission, will we use 4 courses to apply, or for standard, or later will we use the 5 courses for your program? If you received the President's Admission Scholarship already and we used 4 courses, then that's 4 courses, but in the final semester when we get all your grades back, it'll be for the 5 courses.
Again, I apologize if we did not get to your question, but you can send us an email at calgary.recruiter@ucalgary.ca, and a member of our team would be happy to assist with your question. Does that mean that there's no undergraduate prerequisite courses for the med school at U of C? The Doctor of Medicine program actually have their own admissions team. It would be better to connect with them for questions specifically about the MD program. I will send a link here in the chat for more information about that. But they offer their own admissions process, so I wouldn't have expertise on that. But I will send you a link where you can look into it a little bit more.
So there's one asking if they can be a part of 2 clubs at the same time. You can. I think you can be a part of even more clubs, as many as you want, as long as you're still attending meetings, partaking. There's also a question asking if we can send this PowerPoint on your email. I just posted another link to our YouTube channel where it will be this whole webinar will be posted within the next couple of days or so. The last one we did was uploaded the next morning, so it could be as quick as then. Can you tell me more about dual degrees and how to apply for them? A part of your application, when you click your first choice, it'll ask if you want to apply to a combined program. At that point, you would want to add the second program. If you've already accepted an offer and you're looking at adding a dual degree now, that makes it kind of tricky because it's going to rescind your initial offer so we can consider you for both programs. There's also a question here asking if Religion 35 is an approved course for calculating the admission average. Camille, do you know if that's an approved course?
I will have to double check because I believe it went through a recent review. Let me see if it's updated on our website.
Okay. So I see one that's, so if I'm in the Faculty of Arts, I have to do a science option course each semester. Is biological anthropology counted as a science option, or is it still an art one? I believe biological anthropology is an art one. It might not be each semester that you're taking a science option. It's just typically for arts programs, you need one science course for the whole degree. And so if you're looking at the degree guide and it's showing you could take it in the fall or the winter, that just means they're flexible when you take it. But I'll look up that link to see if it is a arts or science option. Julianne asked if they can have two separate applications. Within the one application, you're able to apply to two separate programs. Within those two separate programs, if one of them is a dual program, that's okay. You still get that second choice option. So you can still add that now if you've only applied to one. You just need to go back into your application by logging in to your My UCalgary account, scrolling to the bottom and clicking Change UGRD Application.
Okay. Okay, I think that is all that we have time for this evening. Thank you so much, everybody, for attending this webinar. Again, I'm so sorry if we weren't able to get to your questions. Please do send us an email at calgary.recruiter@ucalgary.ca, and our team would be happy to help you with your question. And from Mackenzie and I, thank you so much, and congratulations on receiving an offer to the university. We hope you have a great rest of your evening. Thank you.